Jeffrey Powers from Geekazine, and we're here South by Southwest in Austin. And of course, we have another company who decided to make the trek down to Austin and kind of stay here, and that's OWC. We've got Larry O'Connor here. How you doing, Larry?
Really good. Thanks for having me on, Jeffrey.
All right. So the big question is, well, first of all, you didn't move down to Austin. You added another place down here in Austin. What prompted that whole move?
OWC has had great success growing in Woodstock, Illinois. I mean, that's our headquarters. That's where we were founded over 25 years ago. Really enjoy being there. I mean, got an incredible team that's in Woodstock, and we reached a point where we saw opportunities to perhaps look for different kinds of talent in different places. And Austin has a creative vibe like pretty much no other. And we do our manufacturing of our SSDs or memory down here. We already have some, a little bit of exposure down here, and it's a great place to have had that exposure because we moved. I should rather say we opened our office down here for the first time late 2012, and we've been able to hire an incredibly talented group of creative people down here, which by no means displace our Woodstock team, but allow us to continue to supplement and grow and expand OWC.
So the first time that you came to, was it you that made the decision that came down here and said, we got to be here in Austin, or how'd that story come to be?
I've been coming to Austin on and off since 2005. Again, our manufacturing has been based down here for a good bit of time, but I never honestly checked out the city. I kind of had blinders on to a certain point, and I tell you, I spent a lot of time focused on product, focused on our customers, and I never really explored the area, to say the least. And our primary business partner down here continued this push and saying, you really should be down here. I mean, this is the space, the place, I should say, for somebody in your space. And we know some of the challenges you talked to us about, and we think you're kind of missing an opportunity down here. So finally, with some changes, I guess you could say that Illinois is an interesting environment today. Started taking a much closer look at Texas in general, and looked at Austin and said, wow, why weren't we here 5 years ago? So the decision was made pretty quickly. We moved extremely rapidly and getting situated down here, and it's been real good. I mean, there's positions that we've been trying to hire up in Woodstock for a couple of years even, and we were able to come down here and fill these positions with, again, exceptional people to complement and integrate with our team. In an amazing short period of time after having gone through a little bit longer recruiting up in Illinois.
So are you going to be splitting up the focus of the two buildings? Is Woodstock going to work on some items and Austin and others, or are you going to work in tandem?
Again, every location where we have operations has very talented individuals that are part of the team, and every region has different talents that are in that, I guess you could say, that regional base. So it's definitely a team effort, and it's the technology today. We're really not as far apart as the distance might otherwise imply.
And of course, the food is food's good in the Chicago area too. But what about the food down here?
Well, they don't have pizza like they do up in Illinois, but in general, I have to say that the food is really exceptional down in Austin. No complaints.
So we talked about the building, and of course we also we got to talk about solar power really quick. And so let's talk about how you've got it's a top green building. Is that correct, or?
I'm not really sure what you call it, other than the space is available on the rooftop. We've capitalized and turned into solar, set up for solar collection, and that solar array now provides somewhere between 30 and 40% of our building's daily power requirement, which is really, really good. And on the weekends when we're this building uses less power, it ends up putting it back on the grid. So less energy being derived from other sources.
Yeah, true. All right, well, let's talk about the products, because that's what we're here about. Of course, you've been in flash memory and flash storage for a few years now. How many years was it again?
We've been building solid-state drives now since 2010, so this will be our fourth. Actually, we just passed the 4-year mark.
Okay. What's new for solid-state drives right now?
I don't like to characterize stuff as new. I mean, everything evolves. I mean, SSDs themselves were new, obviously, a few years ago in terms of mainstream. Today, they're it's new in the sense that a year or two ago they were almost kind of seen as a I won't say a luxury item, but to a certain degree, still kind of a niche-y, high performance type gig. Today, they're becoming accepted, quite frankly, more and more as the normal and the standard. SSDs are becoming standard in laptops. People who don't have SSDs today are seeing it as a choice between a hard drive and an SSD versus, and as equal storage versus that SSD. Do I really need an SSD? More and more people have been exposed to what an SSD does in terms of that performance, and it's kind of like when broadband came out, you had DSL, and there's still people on dial-up, and as more people, as soon as you experience DSL, you want it. As soon as you experience something better than DSL, you want it.
You want it more, yeah.
And as soon as you experience your friend's system, whether it's a new laptop or a system even from 8-9 years ago that's been upgraded with an SSD, which is it's unbelievably incredible what a drive will do to even older technology. For a long time, we've been I/O bound, not processor bound. Bottom line is people are more educated, more aware, I should say, on the SSDs and the benefits, and the technology has matured. I mean, it's certainly a stable, reliable solution that makes a huge difference for people. And the cost is coming down. So, I mean, if anything is really new in solid state, after having a little bit of a bump in 2012, and then really a cost that, for the most part, stayed relatively high and stable during 2013.
I have actually in my MacBook, I have a hybrid drive, which I felt was the best at the time for that type of action and what I'm doing. But nowadays, I'm finding that even with hybrid drives, they're not as fast as what an SSD is, and of course reliability on there with the SSD. Has that been increased at all? I know that there's a 2-year shelf life for most SSD drives, or
An unpowered shelf life. I mean, you get past, and that I don't even want to say most. I mean, it depends upon a lot of different factors, but in terms of shelf life, SSD sitting on the shelf by itself isn't an issue, but nonetheless, I would not put data on an SSD and then shelve it for a long period of time.
okay, yeah.
Besides that, they're too expensive to use for that purpose.
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, is it more on the consumer side that you guys are on, or have you ventured into the server racks and things like that?
Our product is actually more prosumer enough, and in terms of the enterprise space, we have our product line called Jupiter, and Jupiter consists of a DAS, a mini SAS solution, and then it also includes our new Jupiter Callisto, which is a NAS/SAN solution. It's one of those solutions that does so much for so many, and at such a competitive cost that it's kind of hard to really not talk about it with some of these silly terms without pigeonholing it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's a very easy to use centralized storage solution that can be rack mounted. There's also a desktop tower version being made available, but it allows a work group, multiple, I'd say people on whether they're Macs or PCs or both, share the same storage capacity, much like a NAS, but allocate space based on what the different user needs are. Share that data, but most importantly, without having to spend a lot of money on fiber channel or really specialized networking, you can get up to 800 megabytes per second with this solution over standard Cat7 copper, so Ethernet.
Then you guys have some pretty good solutions on Thunderbolt, correct?
I think we have exceptional solutions. Our 2-bay Mercury Elite Pro Thunderbolt solution also supports USB 3, so if you're need to move data to a system without Thunderbolt, it's fully interoperable. But that was actually the first Harbor RAID 01 plug and play solution that was put out there. It's affordable, it's extremely fast, and in terms of enterprise, all the Thunderbolt stuff is built effectively near enterprise standards. Mm-hmm. So for prosumers and for mission critical, it's all about the drives and the power supply and such. And that's I can say on the power supply side and the actual design side. I mean, these systems are like everything that we build is built to last. Mm-hmm. For somebody who needs more than 2 drives and is looking for flexibility, we have our Thunder Bay 4. It's a 4-drive solution. It sustains data rates up to close to 900 megabytes a second, which is clipping right along. Okay. But it offers the flexibility for independent mode, RAID 0, RAID 1, RAID 5. The RAID modes are provided now through software, and of course independent mode is plug the drives in, they're on your desktop, and good to go. It's a really great transition piece for customers moving from a previous generation Mac Pro.
Well, we talk about flash memory. Well, we didn't talk about the flash memory, but you have flash memory SSDs, mm-hmm. and then of course external solutions. Let's talk for a second about the flash solutions. Okay. What do you offer on that side?
Currently, we have standard 2.5 inch. We actually have 1.8. We have for what it's worth, we have a full line of SSDs. We've had a full line of SSDs pretty much since 2010. We have 1.8 inch for some of the sub notebooks. We support 2.5 inch. We actually support 2.5 inch for IDE as well as SATA. So we're supporting those legacy machines, which again, as long as it works. I mean, if the machine's not broken and it's running, it's doing what you need it to do. You just want a little more speed out of it.
So you're saying I could get an SSD with an IDE attachment, and that works.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It actually supports systems all the way back to about 1998. There's one model, one system, one chip that we found that was popular in between 99 and 2000 that has a compatibility issue. But it's we're going back here almost 15 years. So.
And then, of course, we're talking 3.5 inch and 2.5 inch discs.
Providing a 2.5 inch format, because you can of course adapt 2.5 inch to 3.5.
So getting back to the memory part of things.
Well, we're going from the SATA back to the mainstream, the drives that really make the volume. We have a 2.5 inch line of SSDs, both for standard, I should say, for lack of a better term, consumer purposes or general use purposes, and then we have an Extreme Pro line, which is certified right now for sound devices, which for AV recording. It's also got Blackmagic testing certification, and it's designed for higher performance and stability. And one thing across all of our drives, including our PCI solution for the Mac Pros, they're built consistently. I mean, a lot of product out there, and especially the larger lines, I mean, they build in configurations that are easy to manufacture. Being they're either just, this is 1 chip, 2 chip, 4 chip, 8 chip, or depending upon the brand and whatnot, it's, flavor of the month kind of stuff. I mean, we really build to a qualification. And in that, if you buy a drive from us today or buy a drive from us from 6 months from now, or we send a drive off for review, how that drive reviews, is consistent with the performance it's going to deliver. We're not, I just say, let's see how we can save a penny this month because we can build with these chips. I mean, these drives are built and they're qualified to perform the best that they can in that capacity range.
Do you find that newer technologies are getting you into new areas, or are you making plans to go into new areas?
I would just answer that as a yes. I mean, it's interesting. A lot of the newer technologies are, they're more complex to support and design and build for, but they become simpler, easier for industries that in the past may have not even incorporated various technology-based products into their own solutions. So we're seeing there's a lot of demand in areas that we never heard from years ago. So the products on the front end are more complicated, but they're easier to use for the end integrators.
Do you ever have a startup come up to you guys and say, hey, we'd like to use some OWC stuff in our products, but, we need to have it to these specifications? We do.
And we are here to support those startups, and we're happy to work with pretty much anybody. And that's another advantage, I think, that we can offer, as opposed to, not name the guys, I mean, the really big guys. Small, gotta say, quantity runs and specifics, solutions for, we don't have a 10,000 piece minimum to do something custom, and we're happy, quite frankly, to work with pretty much anybody. It's our pleasure. I mean, we won't consider ourselves a giant company. We're still pretty entrepreneurial, and that's where the fun is.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, let's talk. Somebody gets a product and then they have some issues, or they have some questions or something like that. The support team, how do you handle? Do you have an in-house support team, or do you outsource it, or what?
We are 100% in-house. Going way back. Taking the computer in just to get memory put into it, and I did this personally until that's kind of how this company got started. It's like. You watch the tech. And this, I shouldn't say this is. Technicians. There are a lot of things you should take your computer in to have service. To have various work done. But installing memory, a hard drive. There's plenty of things that quite frankly, it takes more time to take the system in. It takes more time for the person at the desk to sign your system in than it takes for you to do the upgrade at home. And going back 25, 26 years, that's kind of how OWC got started. And it was a lot harder, a lot more, a little more involved with taking the system, out. I mean, a lot more cables to disconnect.
Oh, yeah.
They were a little bigger back then too.
I remember my first real desktop job that I did when I was building PCs, and it was an IBM machine, and the case was it was literally a tank. And I could have used it as blast shield armor at one point and go from there. So, but it's always nice to be able to do that, to troubleshoot. Sometimes you don't have that option. Sometimes you just have to do it over the phone. So,
Right. Well, way back when they made you haul that stuff in, and then I tell you, when you watch and find out that in my particular, perhaps help inspire and help kind of kick me along, watching the tech take my computer and put his feet up on the desk and leave it on the shelf, and find out later, wow, that takes about 5 minutes to put this memory in. And then somebody started selling memory. Somebody would ask, well, what if I break a chip? Well, number one, we were offering memory for about a quarter what the Apple Space in general had been at that time. Mm-hmm. It's very inexpensive to buy another chip, and the cost of an entire another set costs less than you would pay somebody to do the installation. There's very little to worry about. It's very hard to break a chip anyhow, but I guess getting back to the support thing, we have a 24/7 staff in-house. They're available via live chat 24/7. We have 800 phone support that's from about 8 a.m. in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, and there's also 24/7 email. And this is a team that they use our product. They use the systems that we support, and they're trained on both Macs and PCs to provide not a scripted let's go through. I mean, you call somebody up and it takes a half an hour to actually get to your problem because you've already tried all this stuff. Yeah. We have a team that they care. They're passionate about the products. They're passionate about our customers, and they listen, and they'll walk you through.
Yeah. The 2000s. Well, when Mavericks came out, the Apple said, put it on your 2007 MacBook and give it a new life. Have you found that a lot more people are either keeping their MacBooks or actually going to buy, like you said, through surplus and stuff like that, buy a MacBook and get more memory so they can have it run a little bit faster and run in Mavericks?
Historically, I say we see the greatest amount of upgrade activity on systems that are about 4 or 5 years old. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's where new systems have a pretty good peak, and then once you go past the current, people buying new systems and upgrading those. When you go more into the older systems, I mean, systems 4 or 5 years old, and often secondhand owners are where that activity is. And there's a big demand on Mac Pros because of what you can do internally. Heck, you can put more memory in a 2009 to 2012 Mac Pro than you can the current. Okay. For some tasks, for like Photoshop, you just replace the GPU. Put in a Sapphire video card, put in some more memory, put in Excelsior or PCI SSD, and it can either run very much with the current Mac Pro, or even with some tests, it actually runs a little bit faster. Yeah. And that's especially if you're working on large, let's say photo docs, where more than 64 gigs of memory is a benefit. As soon as it doesn't matter what the system is, as soon as you're depending on memory swapping, even with a super fast SSD, a system that can have more memory, tends to outperform the system that's memory restricted. I mean, that becomes your bottleneck. I mean, these current machines there's still a lot of life left in, certainly anything from the last 5 years. And
more information, websites, and stuff like that.
Now you can go to www.macsales.com. You can also learn more about our sister company, Newer Tech, at www.newertech.com.
So all amazing stuff. It's looking good. We walked around and saw the solar panels, saw how you guys are in Austin and going from there. So I wish you continued success here in Austin, and thank you very much, Larry.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. For Geekazine.com, Jeffrey Powers has got a lot more South by Southwest action. You can go over to Geekazine.com, check it out, or YouTube.com/Geekazine.